Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to bring you a video. A lot of questions been asked about why INEOS hasn't sacked Manchester United manager Erik Ten Hag, and this is my humble honest opinion on why they are not sacking him and why they are going to keep him in the current job. And I'm going to tell you straight up what I think. First and foremost, I've said it in a few live streams and different videos as well. I think they don't think it is cost effective to sack Erik right now. Reports have come out, a few different reports have come out that said Erik, to part ways with Erik, it would cost around 17 million. Some have said 14 million, 15 million, around that ballpark. I think INEOS are probably thinking, and the footballing men in charge, Barada, Wilcox, and all of those people are thinking, we have spent hundreds of millions this window that has just gone only for us to pay an additional, 17, 15 million to part ways with Erik, and then also pay an additional good few million to get a new manager in right now in the middle of the season. Majority of the managers that would be suitable or people would want are employed, so getting them out of contract right now would cost a lot of money as well. So it is probably cost effectiveness. There is no doubt in my mind that INEOS and Omar, Jason Wilcox and everybody else involved are probably looking at Erik Ten Hag and thinking he is not the man for the job. There is no doubt. Nobody in their right mind will look at the football that we're playing, the results that we're getting, and looking at Erik Ten Hag and saying, he's the man to take this team to the next level. He's the man that can turn it around. It's been 3 years now, and if the results are this poor, the form is this poor, with the squad that they have built for him over the past few years, the Glazers have got in players, INEOS have got in players, his own players, how can he be only getting like 30-40% out of the team? So my biggest thing is right now is cost effectiveness. And they're probably thinking there will be more managers that become available come summertime. And a lot of people have said it as well. INEOS may just say this season is a write-off. They take this season as an initial season of building the squad, getting rid of some players that needed to get part ways with, bringing some more players, do the same come summer, and build a competent enough squad for a manager to come in and just to coach and manage the team instead of building a team around the manager. I say that, but on the other hand, they have got Erik Ten Hag, Delict, Mazarawi, Ugarte, players that this manager wanted. They've parted ways with some players that needed to part ways with. There are some players that we still need to part ways with as well. The likes of Harry Maguire, the likes of, Ericsson, Johnny Evans, Victor Lindelof, they're all going to part ways. So there'll be new reinforcements coming in those positions. Luke Shaw as well. Are we going to keep him for another season? I hope not, and I really don't think we will. I think Manchester United are going to go and get a left back come next summer as well. So considering all of these things, I think cost effectiveness is the one thing that comes to my mind. I'd love to know what you guys think as well. A lot of people have written INEOS off, right? They've said INEOS, these new people in charge of the football are on fraud watch. Woodward would never do this, and Glazers would never stand for this if they were in charge of the football. They'd be ruthless and cutthroat, and I 100% hear it. I understand the perspective people are coming from, but I also have to say this thing, right? These people who are in charge, they want the football, the club to be run sustainably, where the club are actually making enough money to sustain itself and not be in debt constantly and etc. etc. So I believe cost effectiveness is the number one reason, and part of me also thinks that INEOS are going to look stupid if they sack him, because they're the one that gave him the extension. They also gave Bruno Fernandes a new contract, so they did back him in terms of that. They gave him his players, so they're going to look stupid if they sack him after 7 games. I understand there's a small minority percentage of the fans who say that, numerically we can still make top 4, and top 4 would be huge for Manchester United this season, and I'll tell you why. The reason why top 4 is going to be so crucial for Manchester United is simply because financial reasons. That's the number one thing. We cannot go and replace those players that I've listed before: Lindelofs, Maguires, Ericssons, all of these players that will be leaving, Johnny Evans. We need to come in Champions League position to bring the revenue in, so we can then put that money into the squad and bring in new players. The players that we want to be bringing in come next summer, they're not going to be cheap. Are INEOS going to probably keep one or two of those players as well? Some of them are going to end up leaving on a free. I think Amad Diallo is one that we renegotiate in his contract as well, because his contract runs out this summer. So there's money that needs to be spent into the squad, just like any other summers. So they're probably thinking, you know what, let's see actually what he achieves by January, February, because if he does more worse than what he's already doing, if he goes more downhill, for example in the Europa League, if he starts losing more games or not qualifying for the next rounds and whatever in the Premier League, if he doesn't do well, if in the domestic cups it looks like he's not doing well, then I think by January they won't have any choice but to part ways with him and put an interim in for the rest half of the season. Who that manager is going to be as interim, there's been this little talk about Carrick. I've heard little noise about Ole. I've heard noise about Ruud, but the most probable manager that's going to take over as interim, if Erik Ten Hag fails, which I believe he is going to fail miserably, it's probably going to be Ruud van Nistelrooy, and there's no reason for them not to give Ruud an interim job as well. And I'm going to tell you that as well. Look, there's no reason for us to put our fears from previous managers and slump it on Ruud van Nistelrooy. It's not fair on Ruud. 100% agree that Ruud hasn't had a job this big. He's not got the experience to manage such a job. But for an interim role, I'm not unhappy to have Ruud, because if the season's been written off already and we're in game week 7 and he does worse, then almost Ruud van Nistelrooy has just to come in to clean up the mess and make something of the season, just to get us to the summer transfer window. And if he can somehow secure Europe football, whether that be Europa League or Champions League, then great. But it doesn't mean that we should give Ruud a permanent contract as well. I'm trying to be as logical and level-headed as possible and consider all opinions and all factors involved. Normally I'm very brash and very loud and whatever. I'm very upset and direct, but when I'm making these videos, I want to be as level-headed as I can be. My opinion is still they should part ways with him and give it to a manager like Ruud, for example, just to steady out the ship. I think top 4 is plain and simple impossible. There is always a little bit chance. There's always that 1-2% chance that you can make top 4, but I really don't think Manchester United can come top 4 this season unless some sort of miracle happens, something miraculous happens where other teams are performing really bad, other teams are stricken with injuries, which I don't wish on any player. But unless that happens, there is no way for Manchester United to come top 4. I just don't see it. There's just too many teams performing on all cylinders early on in the season for us to be thinking, we can compete with them. I look at the Premier League table differently to majority of the football fans. I look at it in like 10 game batches, and we're coming up to the 10 game mark. Some of the teams in the top half of the table, they're playing each other. Like Newcastle is playing Brighton next. We're playing Brentford next. We played Spurs in the mid table. We're not keeping pace with the league in the first 10 games of the season. Then will come the next batch, the next 10 games of the season. After that, there'll be the next 8. If we don't keep up pace with the league and pick up points when other big teams are dropping points, we're not going to be able to catch them. Goal difference is a massive one as well. We just don't score enough goals for us to be likely to be beating majority of the teams, in the bottom half of the table. We just don't. You look at Brentford, Brighton, they're outscoring us right now. Do you know what I'm saying? If I'm not mistaken, Brentford have scored like 13 goals in the Premier League already, and our goal difference is on -3. We've scored 5. Considering all of these factors, they should have parted ways with Erik already, because they should have salvaged this season, given it to Ruud, and see if Ruud can squeeze more out of this squad. Any competent manager comes in and does a little bit better, in my opinion, because you don't need to be a football genius to know which players to play in which positions and which subs to make. Erik is hell-bent on his methods. That's what's costing him. He can't implement any football. He can't implement even the right subs when he needs to. He gets these odd goals from substitutions that he makes. But at the end of the day, it's the hope that is killing so many people. The hope that he can do well, because nobody in their right mind, especially the footballing men in Manchester United, can sit there and say, they can look at Erik Ten Hag and say, he is the man for the job, because he isn't. And there's nothing to say that Erik won't do well if he goes to another club. He might as as well and you know, go somewhere else and do really well. But that doesn't mean that he's the right man for Manchester United. We have to find the right click. Who comes available in summer? We will see. A lot can happen in football by then. You know, the prices of managers and getting them out of their contracts will change as well in summertime. Getting a manager out of a contract middle of the season, it's very, very expensive. And then parting ways with Erik as well. So that's my level-headed, honest opinion. Let me know in the comments what you guys think as well. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you think, you know, it is cost effectiveness? Do you think it is something else? Do you think it's because they're going to look stupid? You know, Tuchel is out of a job. I understand a lot of people saying sack him now and get Tuchel in. I definitely hear it. I definitely agree as well. But then if Tuchel is not a long-term option, what type of contract are they going to offer Tuchel? They have to consider that as well. If Tuchel is not a long-term option, you keep him for 2 years. Parting ways with Tuchel is going to cost money as well. And I don't think Thomas Tuchel is willing to sign a 2-year deal. He's probably going to want a 3-4 year deal and then, you know, a compensation if he gets sacked as well. So long-term financial implications for that to consider as well. We wanted De Zerbi, you know, someone that a lot of Manchester United fans liked, but he's, you know, doing his thing in Marseille. Inzaghi, you know, apparently he doesn't speak good enough English, so he might not be suitable. Thomas Frank is a name that's getting thrown about. That might be an option as well. I like Thomas Frank myself. Unai Emery, is he going to be wanting to leave the project that he's built at Aston Villa and come to Manchester United? Unai Emery is someone that I would take in a heartbeat. There are the managers, odd managers there that we can pick up. Really and truly there is. They might not be the long-term solution. We just need to, as a fan base, get used to the thought process that the next manager might be a 2-3 year manager. 2-3 year manager is perfectly fine. Do you know what I mean? Let them come and steady the ship, ease out everything, fix all the messes that Erik has made. If they do fantastically well in that 2-3 years, we can have that conversation then. If not, in 2-3 years, something else can happen. There's that Stuttgart manager as well. A lot of people are talking about that they like, but I'm still on the opinion, right, that they should sack and part ways with Erik Ten Hag now and pay the money for Thomas Tuchel. You really have to. They're moving like broke billionaires, as Rand said on his video. They really are. Let me know in the comments what you think. Like the video if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you like my content. I'll be live every day or bringing you at least one video every day on Manchester United and other topics as well. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much for 25,000 as well. I really appreciate you. Take care. God bless. And I'll catch you on the next one.